Hello, my name is Grace Wilson and I'm here with
Anna Newlin.
And today we're here with Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who is an actor best known for his role as Mitchell Pritchett in the hit show Modern Family, and he's also been in several Broadway productions as well, such as Take Me Out, which he's won a Tony Award for. And lastly, he also started the organization called Tie the Knot with his husband, which makes bow ties and sells them for funds for same-sex marriage.
Okay, so in your career, you've had various roles in film, Broadway, and TV. Is there a medium that you find the most creatively fulfilling?
I've always loved theater first. That's always been my first love. It's what I wanted to do when I was a kid, and it's what I studied to do when I moved to New York. I love the interaction between a live audience, and I love the rehearsal process of theater. I love like really getting into a character and knowing it really well. When I first started doing television, that was a hard part for me, is like the lack of rehearsal. You run a scene once or twice and then you shoot it. But there was also something really nice about not overthinking it and then like letting that scene be done. So there's things I like about all mediums, but I think for me, creatively, theater has always felt the most fulfilling, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you adapt to only having one or two takes before you actually started filming?
I mean, it's tricky. I always say like the hardest part for me was memorizing the lines, because sometimes you would get rewrites and then you would have 10 minutes to look at them before starting to film. And I always said it was like trying to hold water in your hand, like it's gonna seep through and it's gonna drip out, and you're like trying to like keep it in your hand for as long as you can. That's how it felt like keeping the lines in my head. It's definitely a muscle that you learn to work. Like I'm better at memorizing lines now because I had to do it quickly for 11 years.
Oh yeah.
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 So being an advocate for LGBTQ plus rights and equality, how do you feel about the progress of LGBTQ plus representation in the mainstream media?
I think we're always growing, we're always evolving. I look at all the shows that held the door open for shows like Modern Family. We wouldn't exist with shows like Will and Grace, and so many of the shows that came before us. And I think that shows like Pose and the Real O'Neills and like these other shows that then had queer characters after us, like we held the door open for them. So I think it's always evolving and it's always changing. I think that there's always more room to grow. I think the need for people to tell their own stories is always there, and I think we have a lot of work still to do. I think every year there's new challenges, and we're in a challenging year this year for lots of other reasons, and what's going to get made and what's not going to get made, and but I think as long as we're always looking forward and trying to represent, that's what's important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So how do you prepare for a role like Mitchell in Modern Family? Do you draw from life experiences?
Mitchell, I drew from a lot of life experience, definitely. I mean, he's basically a version of me. So I didn't have to really do too much work on figuring out who he was. I just let him be me, because I had so much in common with the character. What ended up happening is I had to actually work to figure out in what ways I was different than him and find things that separated me from him. And that was really fun and exciting, because I got to explore facets of myself that I like fantasized about, exploring, or, got to be wackier or louder or more stringent in ways that, weren't so comfortable for me.
Oh yeah.
So in an interview you did with Forbes about your career and parenthood, they asked you if you would go to Mitch for parental advice, and you actually said you would go to Claire.
Yeah.
So saying like what you just said, how you relate to Mitch in many ways, is there anything you would go to him for advice for?
Let's think. I liked some of the clothes he wore, so I wouldn't mind him taking me shopping. No, I think Mitch was a great dad. I think there was something, what I loved about him is he was so serious, and I find really serious people to be very funny. And I really admire his loyalty to his family, and I admire his the way he communicates what he feels with both his dad and his sister as well. I always felt like Claire was maybe slightly better at doing this than than Mitch was. But the legal advice, I think he's probably a great lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have any advice for college students that want to get into acting after they graduate from college?
Sure. I mean, I think if it's something you want to do, I say absolutely try it. You just have to go in knowing that it is a really brutally hard business, and disappointment and rejection is going to happen way more than the opposite. For me, I went in knowing that, and I also knew that that's what I was most passionate about, and I'm glad I pursued it. I'm glad I didn't let those scary warnings, keep me from doing it. I think we all should be, especially at this age, not my age, your age, but we should be pursuing the things that we're passionate about. That's what life is for. You're meant to take those leaps and try new things. I always feel for anything, there should be backup plans and alternate passions. Like, I love cooking. I would have loved to have gone to culinary school. And I still would like to do that. Like, if I ever hit a lull in my career, I'm going right to culinary school. Like, that's going to be awesome for me. So I think, having a well-rounded set of desires and excitement is really important too.
Yeah.
So going into your love for cooking, you have a podcast called Dinners on Me, where you have a meal with, you've had co-stars and friends on the podcast. Is there anyone that you would like to have on the podcast who you have yet to have?
Oh, so many people. I keep asking Quinta Brunson, who's the star of Abbott Elementary, to come on, and she's terrified of podcasts. And I'm like, but it's just me. You're going to be fine. So she still hasn't said yes. Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to shoot for the stars, I would love to have, who else? Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Of course, there's so many people I'd love to have on. What I love about the podcast is, it all takes place over a meal, and I feel like people really loosen up when they're having a meal with people and open up in different ways. So any of these people that I feel like I kind of have figured out, who I'd love to have a deeper conversation with, I'd love to have on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I wanted to ask you, how do you approach comedy? Is it in the timing, the improv, or something else?
Comedy is really, really hard. I think it's something that's hard to teach. I feel like it comes from gut instincts. It comes from truth for me. I always try and be truthful and then find the comedy within that truth. A lot of it's physicality. A lot of it's mathematical too. It's like, how long do you pause before saying something? If you look at the really brilliant comedians, a lot of it's studying really brilliant comedians and seeing what they do. But it's something that you notice is they all have a great sense of timing. And again, it's really hard to teach. So I steal from the greats, I study the greats, and I go with my instincts, because I think deep down I have good instincts myself, and I'm a pretty good comic. But a lot of that just came with trial and error.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Is there a particular moment from filming Modern Family that has stuck with you?
Oh my God, so many. One of my favorite things to film was the scenes where Mitch and Cam got married. For me, that was just such a poignant thing to do. I was, I'm a gay man, and I was getting married myself in real life that year, and I had fought so hard for marriage equality, and so having that moment on television, on national television, on network national television, was really powerful for me. And knowing as we were doing it that it was going to change a lot of hearts and minds, and represent in ways that few sitcoms have, was really powerful for me to do.
Yeah.
What
do you think is the next big step for the LGBTQIA plus community or rights in film and TV?
Oh gosh, it's hard to say, because we're in such a weird time right now where so much is rolling back. It's hard to look forward. Right now I'm just trying to glue down what we have so we can hopefully then move forward. I think for me, it's always about representation, about letting people tell the stories that they've experienced. I think we have a long way to go in telling stories about the trans community. I think that we've made strides, but I think that there still needs to be trust in these stories needs to be put into the hands of the people who've lived these stories. And like, if it means that like we're giving a lead role in a movie to someone who's not a star, I think we just got to take those leaps and do that. I think it's, you know, we sort of saw it. Unfortunately, there's been backlash with it, but you know, in Amelia Perez, you know, this trans actress playing a trans character. Now there's other problems with you know what she said on social media, but like initially I was very excited that there was that chance was taken on this unknown actress, and now she has an Oscar nomination. You know, Laverne Cox is someone I really love and appreciate, and the fact that she's gotten to tell her story, and she was not nominated for Emmy Awards for telling her story on television is really exciting. So we need more of that.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think those are all of the questions we have. I'd just like to take the time to thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
thank
much.
you.
You're
Absolutely,
amazing.
you guys are great.
Thanks for tuning in to MT, and this is Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Thank you.
Thanks.